It was a moonless night when I found myself deep inside an abandoned factory, surrounded by a labyrinth of pipes, wires, and machinery. As an installation controls technician, my job was to ensure that the factory's automated systems were functioning smoothly, optimizing energy consumption, and maintaining a safe environment. It was a quiet, solitary job that often required me to work odd hours, but tonight's shift would be unlike any other. The factory had been inactive for years, and the air was heavy with dust and an eerie stillness. I often marveled at the intricate web of controls and sensors that I had to navigate through. My work involved configuring the systems, troubleshooting glitches, and ensuring that everything ran efficiently, even in the dead of night. As I delved deeper into the heart of the factory, the only source of light was the dim glow of my flashlight. The rhythmic hum of the machinery echoed through the empty corridors, creating an oddly comforting backdrop to my tasks. But then, I heard it. A faint, distant whisper that seemed to blend with the hum of the machines. My heart skipped a beat, and I strained to listen, my senses on high alert. I brushed off the unsettling feeling, attributing the whisper to the creaks and groans of the old building. I continued my work, adjusting valves and calibrating sensors. However, the whisper persisted, growing more insistent with each passing moment. The hairs on the back of my neck stood on end as the atmosphere grew heavier, suffocating, almost as if the very air around me was tainted by an unseen presence. The factory's lights began to flicker, casting eerie shadows that danced across the walls. My heart raced as I tried to rationalize the situation, blaming it on electrical issues or faulty wiring. But then, out of the corner of my eye, I caught a glimpse of movement, a fleeting silhouette darting behind a stack of crates. My breath caught in my throat as I spun around, my flashlight beam illuminating nothing but empty space. Unease settled in the pit of my stomach as I continued my work, the whisper now accompanied by the occasional rustling sound that seemed to echo from all directions. It was as if the factory itself had come alive, each corner concealing secrets and movements just beyond my line of sight. My palms grew sweaty as I tried to ignore the growing dread, focusing on the task at hand and suppressing the urge to flee. But then, the whisper transformed into a chilling laughter that echoed through the corridors. I froze, my mind racing to make sense of the impossible. It couldn't be real. It had to be my imagination playing tricks on me. I clung to that thought, desperately clinging to logic as I forced myself to move forward, each step heavy with apprehension. As I approached the control room, the laughter intensified, becoming a cacophony of haunting voices that seemed to seep through the walls themselves. The lights in the room flickered wildly, casting disorienting shadows that danced across the consoles. My heart pounded in my chest as I realized that I was no longer alone. An unseen presence was here with me, its malevolent energy palpable. With trembling hands, I tried to steady myself and complete my tasks, my fingers fumbling over the controls. But then, the consoles came to life on their own, buttons pressing down as if operated by an invisible force. Panic surged through me, and I stumbled back, my flashlight falling to the floor with a clatter. The laughter reached a crescendo, enveloping me in a chilling symphony of dread. I backed away, my mind racing for an escape route. But no matter which direction I turned, the presence seemed to encroach upon me, its energy suffocating and all-encompassing. The air grew colder, and I could see my breath as I panted in fear. With a final burst of courage, I sprinted towards the exit, my footsteps echoing through the factory. The laughter pursued me, growing louder and more relentless. As I burst through the doors into the night air, the laughter abruptly ceased, leaving me in silence. I leaned against the factory wall, gasping for breath, my heart still racing. The night air felt sweet and soothing against my skin, a welcome respite from the horrors within. I never returned to that factory again, and the memory of that night would forever haunt my dreams. Looking back, I couldn't explain the unexplainable events that occurred that night. Was it a trick of the mind, a manifestation of my exhaustion and fear? Or had I truly encountered an otherworldly presence, an unseen visitor with a malevolent agenda. I may never know for certain, but one thing was undeniable. That night had left an indelible mark on my soul, a chilling reminder that there are forces beyond our comprehension that can turn the ordinary into the unimaginable.
As the night descended upon the abandoned mansion, I settled into my role as the night security guard. My rounds were routine, and I had grown accustomed to the creaking of the old floors and the occasional gust of wind that sent shivers down my spine. But on that particular night, something was different. The mansion was known for its eerie history, tales of unexplainable occurrences and restless spirits that were said to roam its corridors. As I made my way through the dimly lit hallways, the weight of the building's history seemed to press down on me. I reached the grand ballroom, and a chill ran down my spine as I felt an inexplicable presence. It was as if the very air around me had turned heavy and suffocating. I shone my flashlight around the room, trying to dismiss my unease as mere imagination. That's when I heard it, a faint whisper, so soft that I could barely make out the words. My heart raced as I strained to listen. The voice seemed to come from all around me, echoing in the darkness. It was a voice filled with anguish, a desperate plea that sent shivers down my spine. I froze, my flashlight trembling in my hand. The voice grew louder, more insistent, as if it wanted to be heard. The words were indistinct, a garbled mix of pain and sorrow. I took a step back, my heart pounding in my chest, and yet I couldn't tear myself away from the source of the whisper. The mansion seemed to come alive with an otherworldly energy. Shadows danced on the walls and the temperature dropped, causing my breath to mist in the air. I felt a presence behind me, a cold breath on the back of my neck that sent a shiver down my spine. With trembling hands, I aimed my flashlight at the source of the whisper, a worn-out portrait hanging on the wall. The figure in the portrait seemed to move, its eyes fixed on me with an intensity that sent a jolt of fear through my body. The whisper grew louder, more urgent, as if the figure was trapped between dimensions, desperately trying to communicate. I took a step closer to the portrait, my curiosity overcoming my fear. As I did, the room seemed to darken further, and the air grew thick with tension. The voice grew clearer, the words forming a chilling sentence that etched itself into my mind. Help me. Trapped. The darkness. I could feel the weight of the figure's pain, its torment seeping into my very being. I reached out to touch the portrait, my fingers trembling as they brushed against the canvas. And then, in an instant, the room was plunged into darkness. The whisper enveloped me, surrounding me in a cocoon of sound that was both haunting and ethereal. I felt as if I was being pulled into a different realm, a world of shadows and forgotten memories. Reality itself seemed to warp and twist, leaving me disoriented and vulnerable. In that moment, I understood the true nature of the mansion's haunting. The figure in the portrait was a soul trapped between realms, a prisoner of the darkness that had consumed it. The whisper was its only means of reaching out, of begging for release from its eternal torment. As the whisper continued, I could sense its desperation, its yearning for freedom. I closed my eyes, allowing myself to become one with the haunting presence. And then, with a sudden burst of energy, the whisper ceased, leaving me standing alone in the darkness. The room returned to its normal state, the air no longer heavy with sorrow. I looked at the portrait, and the figure within seemed to smile faintly, a glimmer of gratitude in its eyes. I knew that I had played a part in setting it free, in allowing it to move on from the darkness that had bound it. I left the mansion that night, forever changed by the encounter. The haunting whisper had shown me a glimpse of a world beyond our understanding, a world where the boundaries of reality and the supernatural were blurred. And as I walked away, I couldn't help but wonder how many more souls were trapped in the shadows, their whispers lost in the darkness, waiting for someone to set them free.
As I stepped into the dimly lit corridors of the old hospital, the weight of history hung heavily in the air. My name is James, and I'm a nurse here, dedicated to providing care and support to patients with serious mental illness. The hospital's commitment to evidence-based practices and personalized treatment plans guides my every step. Tonight's shift is no different, as I collaborate with my fellow healthcare professionals to administer medications and ensure the well-being of our patients. The hospital's origins trace back to the late 1800s, a unique haven for non-violent patients seeking extended care. The stories etched in these walls tell of resilience, pain, and the journey towards recovery. As I make my rounds, I encounter faces both familiar and new. Each patient's struggle is a chapter of their own, and my role is to be a beacon of compassion in their darkness. Our multidisciplinary team works tirelessly to foster independence and enrich their lives with skills for the future. Tonight, an unsettling aura blankets the East Wing. It's a part of the hospital that carries whispers of the past, stories of patients who have long departed this world. With each footfall, the floor creaks in harmony with the echo of history. A faint shiver runs down my spine, but my dedication to these patients propels me forward. The door to one room beckons me, its creaking hinges revealing a space untouched by time. I step inside, my flashlight revealing a world suspended in silence. The bed stands as a relic, its presence a testament to the countless souls who have sought solace here. I can almost feel the weight of their pain as I listen to the whispers that seem to weave through the very fabric of this room. Help. Me! The voice, barely audible, tugs at my heartstrings. I turn, expecting to see someone beside me, but the room remains empty. My senses are heightened, every nerve on edge. The temperature drops inexplicably, and a spectral presence materializes before me. A woman, ethereal and haunting. "Eliza," she whispers, her voice carrying the weight of a lifetime. I listen as she shares her tale of confinement and heartache, her story intertwining with the hospital's history. Empathy courses through me as I extend my hand, offering a connection that transcends time itself. "Come with me, Eliza. Let's find a way to bring you peace." As our hands touch, warmth radiates through the room. The air shifts, the darkness receding, as if making way for a new dawn. Eliza's form wavers, and her presence slowly fades, leaving behind a sense of serenity. Emerging from the East Wing, the first rays of dawn paint the sky. The hospital seems different now, as if the spirits that once wandered these halls have found their rest. As I continue my rounds, I feel a profound sense of fulfillment. My role is more than just a profession. It's a bridge between past and present, a testament to the power of compassion. I look back at the East Wing, no longer shrouded in shadows. The wind carries a whispered thank you, a gentle reminder that even in the darkest of places, the light of care and understanding can prevail.